Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Today we have section 2.5. It is about easier functions, linear functions. Linear is always easier. You can consider, by the way, also this section as the second version of section 1.3. It is 1.3 season 2, part 2. It is about linear function. You know from before, I think we have mentioned this in 2.1. 2.1 or 2.2, I don't remember exactly. I think 2.2. The linear function, it is a function that is a first degree polynomial. So it can be written like y equals to ax plus b. The graph of a linear function is a line, because clearly this is a line. The slope is the coefficient of x. What is it? A. And the y-intercept is what? B. Why the b is the y-intercept? Because if you put x equals to 0, what will be y? Y will be b. Look here, if x is 0, this will be a multiplied by 0. It will be 0, y equals to b. Now, since we are talking about a function, what will be the domain of this function? The domain is all the real. We can here evaluate this function at any x. So this is why the domain is all the real numbers. What about the no, we are talking about function. When we have a function, about when you have f of x equals to x plus b. What about the range? Why? It depends on what? The domain is all the real numbers. We have mentioned that when you have, for example, this line 2x minus 3, what is the range? Will be all the real numbers. So when the line is, when the slope is positive, the line will be like this. When the slope is negative, it will be like this. So in this case, of course, the range is what? All the real numbers. Under one condition, it is not always unless provided what? Provided that the coefficient of what? Y. You are right. This is if the slope is not what? 0. What will happen if the slope is 0? No, it will not be vertical. For horizontal line, we will have, if a is 0, the function will be what? If this is 0, this will be 0, and you will have f of x equals to what? To b. And this is a constant function. Its graph is what? Its graph is a horizontal line. This is the graph. This is the x-axis. This is the y-axis, and this is y equals to b.
So if it's if the a doesn't equal to 0, I mean all the range, all the real numbers.
Yes, because if you draw a line, it will be like this. Y will goes from negative infinity to infinity, and this is not new. We have mentioned this before. Yes. This is indeed, in this case, the range will be a single point. All for any x, whatever x is, the y is what? B. So all the output of all the x values is just one point, which is b. This kind of functions, we give it a name. We called it a constant function, and its graph is a horizontal line. Okay. Now determine whether the given function is linear or not. If it is linear, write it in the standard form. You need to write it in this way, which is the standard form for the linear functions. You should make a connection between this and between what we did in section 1.3. If in section 1.3, we have studied 3 forms for the lines, equation of line. This is the point slope form. There is another form that is the slope intercept form, and there is the general form, if you remember. Now we are focusing on this here, on the slope intercept form. So this is a x m, here it is a. Now the first one, is it linear or not? What is a, what is b? A is 3, b is what? So the slope is 3 and the y-intercept is what? Is 2. Write it in the standard form by rearranging the term because the addition is commutative. What about g? The function g, it is also linear. The linear function, it is a first degree polynomial. So it will be negative 6x plus 3 if you rearrange the terms. It is a line with negative slope equals to negative 6. The y-intercept is 3. What about the function h of x? If you expand, it will be 4x plus 3x squared. This is quadratic function, not linear function. We will study such kind of functions in chapter 3 and 3.1. Why it is not? Because x here, it is squared, not to the power 1. So it is not, it is a polynomial of degree 2. What about the last one, the function k of x? This is a linear. X is raised to the power 1, and it is a polynomial of degree 1. If you need to simplify it, it will be 1 over 4 minus 5 over 4x. And rearrange the terms, it will be negative 5 over 4x plus 1 over 4. And this is how to write it in the standard form. Now, determine which function is linear. The first one, A, not linear. Why? It is a rational function, in fact, not a linear. You have a polynomial over a polynomial, a linear function over a linear function. So this is a rational function. X here is in the denominator. And also, Shabab, the domain of the linear function is all the real. This is not defined at 0. So it will not be a polynomial. Always, for any polynomial, they are defined everywhere. What about the function in B? Why? It is not x to the power 1. Here we have x to the power a half. It is a radical function or square root function, squaring function. Excellent. Its graph will not be a line. This is also another criteria. The graph of every linear function is a line. So the graph will not be a line. It will be the same as the square root function, the shifted 1 unit down. What about the function in C? This is quadratic. It will be x squared plus 2x plus 1. And its graph will not be a line. It will be a parabola. We will see that again in chapter 3, inshallah. The function in part D, linear. The slope is a third. The y-intercept is 2 over 3. The last one, it is quadratic also. Excellent. So we have only one function that is in D, that is linear. Let f be a linear function defined by this. F of x equals 3x plus 2. Sketch the graph. How to sketch the graph of a linear function? You need 2 points to plot the 2 points and connect them. You have the slope and you have 1 point, by the way. So another way, you have 0 and 2, and you have the slope is 3. So you can find another point by using the slope. Yes. But I think it is easier to plot 2 points. Both x equals to 0, y will be 2. Both x equals to 1, y will be 5. Now plot these 2 points, 0 and 2, 1 and 5. Connect between them. You will have a straight line. And you can also, to make it more accurate, you can find the x-intercept. Just put y equals to 0 and solve it for what? It will be negative 2 over 3. This will be the x-intercept. If you want to, just to make it, to indicate that in the graph. Okay, what is the slope of the graph? Clearly, it is 3 from the beginning. We know it from here. If you want to check or to verify, you can use your 2 points that you choose. If you use these 2 points and you use them to calculate, you must have 3. Because the slope of the line, whatever the points that you will use, it is the same. It is always a constant. Now, no one asked Shabab about 2.4. 2.4, in fact, why it is not included? In fact, it is about the rate of change of functions in general. but it is more specific and more easier when you have it for linear functions. So you will study the rate of change in Math 101 with details. Here, just we will mention it for linear function because it is so clear that the definition of the rate of function is identical to the definition of the slope when we have a linear function. You know, Shabab, when you have a line, you have 2 points here, x1 and y1, and another point here, x2 and y2. How to find the slope? It will be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x, which is the same, by the way, to y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, but you should keep it in the same direction. Now, in fact, if you have y as a function, y equals f of x. So this will be what? What will be y2? Y2 will be f at x2 minus f at x1. In fact, this is what is called the rate of change of function. You know, rate, it means you have ratio. You have denominator and numerator over denominator. Change, you have change, difference in x and difference in y. Delta y over delta x. The change, the vertical change over the horizontal change. The rise over the run. In the case of linear functions, in the case of lines, it is the same. Whatever the points that you will choose, it is the same. So the rate of change is not a change, it is a constant. It is equals to the slope of the graph. This is only if the function is what? Linear. This is not the case, ya Shabab. You will study this in Math 101. If you have a function that its graph is not a line, like let's say like this. This is the graph of the function. What is the slope of the graph? It depends now. The slope here is not the same as the slope here. It is not the same as the slope here. It is not like here, not like here. It is not a constant. It is not the same always. So it depends on where you are. This is why you will study in Math 101 the rate of change as the slope at a point, and it is called the derivative. The derivative of the function at the point, it is called, it is in fact just the slope. What you will do, you will draw a tangent line. Then the slope of this tangent line will be the slope of the curve at that point. Okay? This is why it is, of course, a local property. Depends on where you are calculating. But when we have a linear, feel free. Wherever you are, the slope will be the same. So the slope of the graph of the linear function is equals to the rate of change of that function. Let's take an exercise. And it is a recitation exercise. We have now solved one, and this is the second one. From the graph, find the rate of change of, no need to say it is linear function. It is clear from the graph that it is a line. So it is a graph of a linear function. So what is the rate of this, the rate of change of this function? And then express it in the standard form. Who can tell me what is the rate of change? Yes. Excellent. How? We have 2 points here. The first point, it is what? 6 and 0. And we have another point here, 0 and 3. Now, from these 2 points, calculate what? The slope, which is A. The slope is A. A will be what? 0 minus 3 over 0 minus 6. Is that right? No. If you change your mind, this will be wrong. Please, Shabab. If you choose the 2 points, let me repeat that because it is a common mistake. You have here 6 and 0 and 0 and 3. Now keep the direction. If you start subtracting this from this, do the same for the x coordinates. Don't change your mind. So A will be 3 minus 0 over 0 minus 6, which will be 3 over negative 6, which is negative. So this is A. This is the rate of change. The rate of change is negative. Now write it in the standard form. You need to find what? B. So now B is what? When x is 0, you will have B. So it is in fact 3. So this, you have A, you have B. So our function f of x will be, here it is, negative half of x plus 3. These are some solved exercises, easy ones, and that's it. This is 2.5. Just we need to practice more by solving some recitation exercises. So we still have 2 recitation exercises. I want you to pay attention for these 2 exercises, because after solving these 2 exercises, I will give you a question to solve, and it will be a semi-quiz. Like, let's call it a semi-quiz. It is not a quiz, but it is a semi-quiz, similar to a quiz. We will consider it later, maybe as part of maybe several semi-quizzes. We will combine them to be a quiz. Okay, now try to solve this recitation exercise. It is given for you here that f is a linear function such that f at 0 it is -3, and the graph of the function is perpendicular to the line x plus 2y equals to 3. Find the value of the function at -3. This should remind you about section 1.3. As I told you, Shabab, these 2 sections are so related, because the graph of any linear function is a line. 1.3, it was about lines. 2.5 is about linear function. So they are so related. You can solve it with the ideas of section 1.3. What is it, Muhammad?
-9.
Let's check.
Yes.
It is -9. How you obtain it?
I obtained the slope from the second line,
Good.
and the y-intercept is -3 plus
Excellent.
and find the function 2x -3, and then
Great.
because
So you solve it with the ideas of 2.5. And this is the best. So what is the, what does it mean when he said that f of x is a linear function? So what? F of x is a linear function means that f of x equals to a x plus, this is the meaning. This is the standard form of any linear function. Now f at 0, it is -3. So this means what? What x equals to 0 here? What you will get? This means that a times 0 plus b equals to -3, which means that b is -3. It is clear, but I just try to make it more clear. It is clear that when x is 0, y is -3. So this is the y-intercept. So let's update now our function. Our function now is ax minus 3. So this is the updated version now. Now we need to find what? A. The graph of the function is perpendicular to this line. What is the slope of this line? Negative, the coefficient, it will be 2y equals to -x plus 3 divided by 2, -1/2 over x plus 3. This was clear from the beginning. It will be negative the coefficient of x over the coefficient of y. -1/2. You remember, Shabab, what I told you about this before? When you have it in the general form, the slope of this line will be -a over b.
by the way,
Yes,
we must put over 2, 3 over 2.
3/2. Thank you. You are right. Totally right. Now, let's find a. What is a, Shabab? A will be the negative reciprocal, because it is mentioned here that they are perpendicular. Our function, it is perpendicular to this line. Let me write it this way. Our function is perpendicular to the line x plus 2y equals 3. Since the slope of this one is -1/2, our a, the slope of our line, it is the negative reciprocal of -1/2, which is 2. Now let's update our function for the last time. It is what? 2x minus 3. What we need to find now? The value of the function at -3. It will be 2 times -3 minus 3, which is -6 minus 3, which is -9. Who used another way, Shabab, to solve this question? Did you use another way? There is another way. Always there is another way. Is it better, easier? You can use the ideas of section what? Section 1.3. You have a point. You have two lines. Line number one, you have a point on that line, which is 0 and -3. Okay? And this line is perpendicular to another line, L2. What is L2? L2, it is x plus 2y equals to 3. Its slope, M2, it is -0.5. So the slope of our line will be what? 2. So according to the slope intercept form, our line, its equation will be what? Y equals to the slope x minus 3. Or you can use the idea of, this is the y-intercept. Or you can use the y minus 3 equals to 2 times x minus 0. The point slope form, and from which you will get to x minus 3. In both cases, it is the same. And when you have, of course, the equation of the line, this is f of x. F of x is 2x minus 3. And of course, f at -3 will be just 2 times -3 minus 3, which is, of course, -9. The same. Okay. Solve this one, Shabab. Please pay attention, because I will give you, after finishing this one, a question similar to this one to be solved. During that, I will pause the recording, take the attendance. You got it? Let me check. Unfortunately, it is not true. What you did? So this is correct. What is equal to that? But you simplify. Now you didn't use this point. You did? Okay. So check again. Check the solution of this equation. Check the solution. We got it? Unfortunately, not correct. Check again. Check your calculation. So what you did, you used the ideas of 2.5. You did find the slope. And substitution. It should work. Check again. It should work. What is your final answer? Right. Excellent answer. So you used 1.3. The same. Good. Excellent. Okay. Who else, Shabab? Yeah. Now it's correct. Excellent. Right. Yes. Correct. Excellent. Yes. Let me now show you the solution, and you can check your answer. And I have I'm so happy because different methods. I have seen different methods for some of you. So this is the answer. K equals to 5/2. How? Let's see together how it is 5/2. So I think, as most of you did, let's solve it as 1.3 problem. So we have how many points we have here? We have 0 and k minus 1. This is the first point. This is x, this is y. And the second point, it is what? 2 and k minus 2. And the third point, it is 6 and 1 minus k. So it is so clear, Shabab, when you have a line, when you have 3 points on the same line, the slope will be the same regardless which points you choose to find this slope. So if you calculate by using this point and this point, it will be the same if you use this point with this point. It's the same. So this is the idea that we will use to solve or to find the value of k. So let's, if you use the first 2 points, what will be the slope? Whatever, yeah, I don't know now. I don't know if the slope is positive or negative. Whatever, I'm talking about any line, whatever, it is like that or like that. Anyway, what I meant that the slope will be the same regardless the points that you are going to use. So now we will do what? The y values minus the x values with the same direction. So it will be what? K minus 2 minus K minus 1 all over what? 2 minus 0. Don't change your mind. This must be equals to what? Let's choose the last point with any two, with any point of these 2 points. What do you think? Which one is easier to be used? 1 minus K minus over 6 minus. I think the first one. Let's use it with the first one. So this is K minus 1, and this is what? 0.
By the way, there's no need to put the second equation. You can solve it with the first.
This will give you the slope. But how after that you will find K?
Because the K will remove with the K, another K. So you will remove.
Yes, here you are right. But let me show you what you will do. What is the benefit of that? Here we are. This will be K minus K. It will be negative 1 over 2. So this is the slope. You are right. So, you need to put this equals to this. Now we will be able to find K. So here we will have 1 minus K plus 1 over 6. This is 1 plus 1, which is 2. Negative K, it is negative 2K over 6. Now multiply both sides by what? You have one equation with one variable, which is what? Which is K. So you need to solve it for K. So you will multiply both sides by what? By 6, you will get here negative 3 equals to 2 minus 2K. Is that right?
Yes.
Now move 2K to here. It will be negative 5 or 5, right? 5. Because you will add also a negative 3 for both sides. K equals to 5 over 2. Right. This is, of course, completely 1.3 problem. Just we use the idea that the linear function is these values of the function are points on the line. Now we can solve it as 1 point or 2.5 question. How? Linear function means that it is in this form. F of x equals to ax plus b. So because of that, we have what? F at 0 equals to k minus 1 will give us what? It means that k minus 1 equals to b. K minus 1 equals to b. What I did, I just bought here instead of f of 0, I bought k minus 1. And I came here instead of x, it will be 0, so b. This will give us b. Excellent. Now, from the second point, f at 2 equals to k minus 2, what we will have? We may have a or k, one of them. Let's see. Let's put instead of the value of the function k minus 2, and instead of 2, instead of x, we will put 2. So it will be what? 2a plus b. What is b? b is k minus 1. We have it already. Are you with me?
Yes.
Now, let me, before doing this, I am looking at some people, they are wondering why. So let's update our function now before we continue. F of x will be what? Ax plus k minus 1. Is that right?
Yes.
Now let's continue. F at 2, it is k minus 2. So this means that what? K minus 2, which is the value of the function, equals to a multiplied by 2, which is 2a plus k minus 1. From here, what we obtain, you can cancel this k with this k because they have the same sign, and you will have what? 2a equals to what? Negative 1. Is that right? You will move add 1 to both sides, and this gives us that a is equals to what? Negative 1 equals to 2a, which implies that a is negative a half. Right? We obtained that a. Now let's update our function before going further. So we have negative a half of x plus k minus 1. By the way, we can use the formula of the point slope form instead of doing this. F at 6 equals to 1 minus k. I wish this will give me now my what? My k. It should be. Now, what we will do, instead of the function, we will put 1 minus k equals to, instead of x, we will put what? 6. Here we are. Now we have one equation with one variable, which is k. For sure, we will be able to find it. So this is equals to what? 1 minus k equals to negative 3 plus k minus 1. Add k to this side, it will be 2k here. And this is negative 3, negative 1, negative 4. Added to there, it will be 5. From this, we will obtain, of course, that k is 5 over to the same. Excellent. Any question, Shabab? So clear? Excellent. So let's stop now the recording and start the semi-quiz. Yes.